Okay. Once we have YouTube going and we're all on the same page, we will get started. If you guys on TikTok are having any trouble hearing or seeing me, feel free to switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy. All right, so we do have, all right, very good. So it looks like YouTube is now going. All right. So welcome, everyone. I want to make a couple quick announcements before we start getting into the curriculum. So we do have our May 28th Psychic Fair coming up. You can attend this Psychic Fair virtually or in person. We are also doing supernatural tours at that time. So for those of you who follow me, you know that I just recently bought an 1882 Victorian funeral home. And a lot of people have been asking to come through here and to be able to either do like a paranormal investigation in the space, or they've just been wanting to tour the space. And so we open that up on May 28th. Now, obviously, that is limited. I want smaller groups of people going in for quality purposes. So you are going to want to reserve your group, or at least reserve your spot in one of those groups. All right. So again, that's May 28th is our big first psychic fair at this new location, and our supernatural tours. If you want to take a look at the amazing readers and healers that I have, these are all certified through my Ivy League Psychic Academy. Genuine light workers will blow you away. And you can go onto the website and you can see their picture, their bio. I think I still have a couple more to put up. But you can also get your ticket for that now. So for the tours or the readings or healings, you're going to want to go ahead and reserve your seat for that. And again, it is virtual or in person. We will be taking walk-ins on the day of, but it's nice to know ahead of time that you have reserved your space. So go to Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com. We also have, looks like we do have a few people tuning in here through YouTube. So if you guys didn't hear me, because we started YouTube a little bit later, I'm a bit behind today. Welcome, Andrea, Chicken Mama, Lex, Mary, and Danielle. Okay, good to see everybody. If you guys could just give us a thumbs up that you can hear and see all right on YouTube, that would be helpful. Okay, also, we have coming up, you may want to register for numerology if you feel like numbers follow you, number patterns follow you. If you notice that you have birth dates, death dates, lucky numbers, these things are always happening. You may be a numerology person. And even if you aren't, numerology is a hidden language, a messaging system that our ancestors, our guides, the universe uses with us all the time. So numerology class with Reverend Danny Johnson from our Roots Revival Interfaith. That starts, I want to say, in the first week of March. So go ahead. It's once a week. You can do it live through the Zoom, or you can get the video download, but you will want to register now. Again, go to Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com. It's a 5-week course. If you want to book a reading, a party, an event with me, again, Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com. And we are selling raffle tickets. This is the first time I have ever done this. I'm so excited about it. I'm giving away a free psychic mediumship class. It's like a $2,100 value, and you can get your raffle tickets on the website. For $5, you get one raffle ticket. I think it's $20. You get 5 or 6 different raffle tickets, and you can win a free class. If you win it, you want to gift it to somebody else, that's an amazing gift as well. Now, if you guys wanted to register yourselves for the psychic mediumship course, the next semester, the next session rather, starts April 25th, but we are officially evergreen, which means you can register anytime. So go to psychicmediumshipcourse.com for that. All right, looks like we have a few people tuned in, and thank you very much. Okay, Mary, Kara, yes, I see. All right, me love 716. I see I got a thumbs up on audio. All right, very good. So I recently ran a poll on TikTok and YouTube where Spirit had given me a whole list of different topics I was supposed to teach on. And I had ran this poll. I asked you guys what topics you would like to hear first. So on this poll, we had today's class, aging and spirituality. You guys also voted really high for parenting and spirituality, drinking, drugs and spirituality, health and spirituality. Also, in with all of this, we'll be getting to these in a series. We're going to do civil rights and spirituality, money and spirituality, business and entrepreneurship and spirituality. Okay. So some really great topics. Today, we are focusing on the aging and spirituality. I'm Ivy Rivera, psychic medium. I'm a Taino Arawak. I own a school called the Ivy League Psychic Academy where I train people internationally online, and we are slowly getting back to in-person after COVID. Or during COVID, I should say. And so I train people in everything from psychic mediumship development to tarot, astrology, numerology, Reiki, meditation, paranormal work, empathic work. We train children as well as adults. And so we invite you to check out the full list of classes up on the website, ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com. What you've caught here today is one of my weekly free mini classes. I've been putting out 1 to 2 per week since the pandemic hit. This is called the Quarantine Series. We are coming up on the 2-year anniversary celebration, if we can call it that, of the Quarantine Series. And I'm really looking forward to doing something special for that class. Okay, so stay tuned on that. If you are new here and you haven't caught any of my other mini classes, COVID's been a while, right? So we have quite an accumulation. You can, anywhere that you download a podcast, listen to those. It's under Ask Ivy, or you can go here to YouTube at Ask Ivy. Up in the playlist, it'll say mini classes. So check them out, and welcome if this is your first time. Also, for those of you, if this is your first time, please give this video a thumbs up. Please follow or subscribe. Donations are always appreciated. And everything I do is interactive. I appreciate your questions and comments. I will be getting to them more at the end of the class, but go ahead and start posting them now. And my beautiful producer, Andrea, I have a new producer. She will be taking them, and hopefully we'll be able to see them, or I'll be reading them out of the comments section. Okay. Again, don't wait till the end. Post as we go along. All right. So today, aging and spirituality. This is one of the few classes that really hits home hard for me. This is a raw space in my life, and this is a very personal issue. I have something called Draskophobia, and that is the chronic fear of aging, and I have to battle my ideas about aging and how that personally affects me on a negative note all day, every day. So if you're one of those people, this is going to be the class for you. If you're one of those people that is really just aging gracefully and you're cool with it, we need you here. We want your insight, of course. And if you're kind of in between, or this isn't a place in your life that you feel you've reached yet, this is going to help you in the future for sure. So what I hear a lot in regards to, aging, especially as a woman, and this class is for everybody, but if you are a woman tuning in at any point, you know that we get hit harder by far, immeasurably, than men. And that is a product of society internationally. And so what we tend to think of in regards to aging is that it's bad, it's negative, it's shameful, it's something we want to avoid at all costs. We go to great lengths to do so, and we really struggle to see any value in it at all. It is something that we also want to avoid because it brings with it a lot of additional costs and pain and insecurity, especially here in America, where we live in a for-profit medical system. Okay, so depending on where you're tuning in from, we would also like to hear your feedback on what happens in your country with your medical system. But here in America, it is something to fear. Aging is not celebrated, especially if you're a woman, and we are going to break down why that is. We're going to look at the psychology behind it. And then today I'm going to be talking about some of the positive ways that we should be looking at aging in regards to spirituality. And then at the very end of this class, I will give you my personal 5 tips on combating Draskophobia, the fear of aging. Okay, so what do we always hear, right? If you were to Google, and those of you who are over 35 have probably done this at least once, maybe every couple months, hoping something new pops up, right? But if you were to Google fear of aging or aging gracefully, or, how can I combat the fear of aging, you're going to hear the same thing over and over and over again. And those are some helpful tips on aging gracefully. And they include things like make lists of things that you're grateful for. Keep an attitude of gratitude about the things that are going good in your life. They will suggest that you look at the parts of your health that do remain intact. They will suggest that you celebrate the fact that you have more financial security. And a lot of older people don't, okay? Especially here in America. So they'll say, well, celebrate the fact that you have some financial security. When you were young, you didn't have it that good. They'll say, look at your skill set. Look at the things that you've accomplished. They'll say, look at your children, these great investments that you've made, and celebrate that they're doing well, which is sort of like saying live vicariously through, your children. It's definitely helpful to have people around you, but a lot of people also don't have that. They will say, pick up a hobby. Okay, which is great. I mean, we all need to keep busy, all right? But aren't these mostly things we do in life already? Are these really major coping mechanisms to the fear of aging? And they'll say things like appreciate your values. Well, we were also really supposed to have values and an ethical code our entire lives, so appreciate your values. Okay. That's it. You're going to find books on this. Everything sort of spirals around these helpful tools, and they don't seem to get us very far. You're not seeing a lot of women in the media either. So you're not seeing a lot of women, especially over 50. It's slowly becoming a topic of conversation and a little bit more popular. But other than like the Golden Girls, we haven't had anything to look at and to compare ourselves to. Also it's a bit outdated as much as God bless Betty White and the rest of the ladies. But they were, I believe some of them were even in their late 50s and 60s. I don't think a lot of people today, a lot of women today are really able to identify with a lot of that. Okay. Funny and amazing as they were. And so we just don't have a lot. I am aware that the new Sex and the City series came out, and from what I hear, it's pretty terrible, and it makes you feel pretty bad about aging in general. Okay, so I feel like even with something like that could have been revolutionary, it missed the mark. I feel like pretty much everybody's missing the mark. So I'm excited to talk about this today. Okay, but basically, when we look at these helpful tools that are out there in the books and in Google and through therapists, it's pretty depressing. It almost makes you feel worse. And, I think that this isn't the kind of class where I want to say, be grateful for what you have. Today, I'm not going to talk a ton about mindfulness in regards to having an attitude of gratitude. Because it is very hard, especially if you have a crippling fear over this. That's not always going to work in this case. And I think it's really important too, that we don't focus on other people who have died. So the really common thing to hear is, well, you should be grateful that you're alive because it's a blessing to be able to age. A lot of people haven't made that far, and that was like taken from them. That's not really true. That's not how the universe works. That's not how life contracts work. People go when it's their time to go. And to say, well, someone else died, so I should be grateful for where I am. it isn't going to work. But it's good to look at the blessings that you have always in life. That's always a wise place to be. All right. So I want to talk about Draskophobia for those of you who have it. Again, for those of you who don't, this is still going to be a helpful class for you. And for those of you that are aging gracefully and you feel amazing about all of this, if you have something to share with us, please do put it in the comments. And I will repeat for those of you who are tuning in late, post your questions and comments. We will be getting to them at the end. All right. So what is Draskophobia? Anybody understand what this is? Has anyone heard of this? It also amazes me how few people even know what Draskophobia is. So it is a fear of aging that is debilitating. It is something that can occur at any age. So if you're 20 years old tuning into this, you may have it. All right. And if you're, 70 tuning in, you may have it. But it can happen at any time. And it's crippling in the way that it causes depression, panic attacks, anxiety, body dysmorphia, and quite a few other things. Now, we typically see this happen with people for, I believe they say there are like 5 reasons that they've really figured out at this point. It becomes common. I'm just going to talk about the 2. That seems to be these seem to be the 2 most common reasons. And that is that you were exposed at a young age to someone, usually someone in your family, who suffered from a disease or an illness, something maybe debilitating that led to their death. And you were not only exposed to that, you had to be involved in it and maybe even help and watch it play out all the way through the death process. The second most common reason I see this happening with people is that they were exposed to that, but on a larger scale. Like they were put in a nursing home constantly. They were brought to a hospital all the time, maybe to visit a loved one, and it was meant to do well, but it had an opposite effect on the child who saw too much. So it's scarring. My personal story is that my grandmother, who I loved dearly, she had a stroke and she was quite young. She was in her 50s. She had this stroke and she ended up for 27 years trapped in a hospital bed, unable to feed herself, walk, go to the bathroom. She couldn't talk. She had a small amount of mobility in her, I want to say her left arm. 27 years. Okay. So I not only watched that, I watched what it did living in America in a for-profit medical system to my grandma, her daughter. Okay. And then to my mother, and the trickle down effect, because they took the house, they'll take everything from you. So it didn't just hit physically. It didn't just hit mentally and emotionally. It hit financially and, psychologically. I did not handle being in an atmosphere like that scary nursing home. Sometimes even several times a week for many hours, surrounded by so many people suffering from what my grandmother did, because I couldn't just stay in her room. She always had a roommate, and that was also traumatizing. Somebody always yelling or problems. And then I would go out into the hallway and I would have, people in wheelchairs like coming up to me and trying to talk to me and grab at me. And there was no escape. I was traumatized also, I want to say, by other women in my family who were responsible for taking care of my great grandmother, who then developed their own terrible ideas about what aging is. And they would talk about it all the time. And everyone talked about, wanting to go quickly and early in life and just die right away. I decided at a young age that I was going to combat this by focusing on my youth, taking it all in. And that one day when aging arrived, which is really like every day, but like definitely in your 20s, you're going to start to notice it. I thought that when aging finally arrived, I would peacefully go into it. And that is not what happened. And that is not what continues to happen. Okay. So if you actually have this, let's say, disorder, okay, it's going to be stressful and something you have to find, I think, new tools along the way to deal with. I do want to talk about, again, at the end of this class, I'm going to talk about my 5 personal tips in combating Draskophobia. So for those of you who have this, stay on and watch that. One of the things I want to talk about, though, right now are a couple different reasons we, especially as women, okay, but we internationally have these negative connotations and ideas and crippling fears in regards to aging, and it is due to the dysfunctional programming that we've been put through since birth, and generationally we can look back and it's there with our mothers, our aunts, our grandmothers, so it's passed down that way as well. All right. So, first things first, understand, especially if you're here in America, that our elders are not respected. If you are old, because this is a capitalistic society, you're not of any more value because you can't work. You can't earn anything. Nobody can make profit off of you. Because it is a for profit medical system, you actually become a burden and an expense in that way too. So, this is a big part of the reason we write off people that are aging as being like negative or something shameful or something we don't want to look at, and we certainly don't want to become. So, that is quite a shame. Okay. Also, we need to be realistic that as women, and this is where we hold so much power, okay, women direct 83% of all US consumption in buying power and influence. 83%. Why is it that women rule 83% of the buying power here in the US? Well, first of all, everything is geared toward making women buy and making women either celebrate their youth and their beauty or feel shame about it and try to avoid it. Okay. So younger women are hit with this scam and older women are hit with this scam. And the machine continues to thrive. So, with the younger population of women, it's all about their beauty. It's about makeup. It's about fashion. We see them in entertainment. And it's something that is celebrated. Okay. So, by the time we start to age, we are properly trained into believing that that is good and we want to be part of that. Then, with older women, and I would say this is getting younger and younger. I mean, I used to see that like older women were considered, um, maybe in their late 30s or 40s, but now I'm seeing younger women, like even in their early 20s, like getting plastic surgery and, panicking about it. It's out of control. We have to stop. It needs to end now. It is not only unhealthy, there's an evil spirit about it, right? And so it is stealing our peace and our joy and honesty and truth about the beauty of what we actually are. It's stealing our power away. And we hold the power, 83% of the power to be exact. Okay, so this is nuts. So what we see with older women, of course, is that they're the polar opposite of the youthful women, and the products that are geared toward them are like plastic surgery, anything anti-aging, and then after a certain age, around maybe 35 or so, they get removed from the media, so we don't see them in entertainment anymore. Now this is to feed the drive in purchasing more from a place of shame and constant useless futile activity of trying to turn back the clock. So let's keep in perspective, all right, what exactly is going on here and how you have been shown through the media, right, through all forms of entertainment, generationally, whether you love your mother and your grandmother or not, right, how you have been programmed through this system. Now, I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about all of that today. I would rather start focusing on the positive. Let's regroup. Let's look at what is being hidden in regards to aging and spirituality and loving oneself, growth and development. And so I want to look at a couple key points here. First of all, I have always been really fascinated with the way that we worship people in their 20s. But if you remember back on your 20s, or if you're in your 20s now, it's not the best time. You may feel like you don't know who you are. You may feel like your judgment is way off. You may feel like your donkey's always in a ditch. That is a reality of life for all humans. And it's because your brain isn't done developing yet. So between around 25 to 27, the frontal cortex, okay, your frontal lobe is going to finish developing. And this affects your behavioral choices. This affects your judgment call, people. Okay. So that is something, first off, straight up in your 20s, something to celebrate about aging. You're going to change 25, 27 years old, and you're going to become wiser, and you're going to really know who you are, where your standards are, where your ethical code of conduct, where your moral compass is. You're going to start to figure all this out, and it's going to be refreshing. You probably will not miss where you were before that a ton. Okay, so let's hold on to that. I want to talk about this not just physically, but also astrologically. So when we look at things from astrology, we have our midlife crisis, it's called, at 42 years old. But what is this really? This is Uranus transit. Uranus is about radical freedom. So when this happens in your astrology, in your planets, it is essentially a turning point in your life where you decide if you're going the right way or if you are going to break free from what you built. And so it's not really the equivalent necessarily for everybody of becoming like the man in a midlife crisis who goes and gets a 20-year-old girlfriend and divorces his wife and gets a sports car, or the girl who starts going through like plastic surgery and, runs off with a 20-year-old guy. It's more about you using your free will to identify, and the universe is supporting you in that in a huge way, whether or not the life that you've been building is the one you want to continue to build, or if you want to start from scratch. This is very exciting. And anytime the universe is supporting us in some type of level up, it is going to be phenomenal and life-changing, and really something that you can enjoy if you choose to. I also want to talk about the way Native and Indigenous people from many different tribes look at their elders. There is a sense of honor in the way that we see our elders. We believe that they are the wise people. They hold the knowledge not only of the cultural history, but also of language. They have gained strength and endurance over the years. They are able to help through their sensitivity, people who are younger and even difficult to manage. They are able to pass all of that power down to the next generation and future generations, and that's irreplaceable. They are irreplaceable individuals, not just a bunch of old useless people. And this is something that doesn't get overlooked, okay, in Native and Indigenous cultures. And we need to look more to the way that Native people see their elders clearly, and the rest of us tend not to. Okay, biblically, let's talk about it even biblically. Now, of course, it was removed from the Bible, like all the good stuff that was in there. But biblically, even, okay, in the Old Testament, there were books in Solomon that now exist only in a fraction and only in one English version of the Bible. So it's pretty much destroyed. But in the books of Solomon, there were training manuals for prophets, for psychics, for mediums, for healers, for the seers. And this was such an honorable position that they knew if you were called, a lot like in Native and Indigenous tribes. We know when a child or a young person is called as a seer to carry on that kind of work, and they're carefully watched. Eventually They are brought under the wing of an elder who is also a prophet or a seer, a medium, a healer. And they are not allowed to start training until they're 40 years old. I think that's very interesting because a lot of symbology, a lot of psychology, a lot of cultures show that when we hit around 40 years old, it's almost like we become whole, right? So if you think about it, that's like the start of your life, not the end of your life. And I think that's something we need to focus on more, especially if you're tuning in here. And a lot of you are probably light workers, being that that's what I do. Okay. So whether you are or you are just invested in your spiritual development at 40, that's when you really start to peak. And discernment is such a huge part. I don't like seeing the big awakening going on starting in 2019, where we have so many young, fresh readers out there giving advice and they have no discernment, not in their own lives, certainly not in spiritual work yet. So that is a huge part. By 40, you're going to have some discernment and life experience. And that is so, so valuable and overlooked. Okay, let's look at numerology. And then we are going to move on to questions and comments, and I'm going to give you my 5 tips for combating Jurassicophobia. All right, so how about numerology? We have another sign that aging is this amazing thing. So we see between 30 and 35 years old that we hit our maturity number in numerology. Danny Johnson, our numerologist, okay, her numerology class is coming up the first week of March. It's a 5-week course. Register, get up on the website and get yourselves in there. Now, for each person, this is going to be a different set of circumstances. It's based on your own personal numbers, of course. But for everybody, between 30 and 35, you hit your maturity number. And basically what that is you getting a dose of tremendous energy that allows you to look and see where you've had weaknesses or there are failures or there are things that you need to let go of, not unlike your 42 midlife crisis in astrology. And you can more easily let go of that and start building what you're really here to build. Okay. Now, again, we're talking about the universe giving you power. It's very possible that we're not given that type of power until we're that age, because we would be reckless with it. We would be destructive or we would waste it. There's no point yet. So that is really something huge to celebrate and look forward to in your life between 30 and 35. You're going to have a whole 5-year span of time where you're tapping into this power, tapping into this energy. The universe is supporting you. Okay. That's huge. All right. On a personal note, let's get into it. Here are the 5 tips I have for you to combat Draskophobia. And by no means do I pretend that I am, over this or not learning new things and that it's gotten easy for me. Okay. It is hard to deal with every day. And as I get older, every year seems to get more difficult. These things, however, have kept me stable and are helping me to be balanced in such a way where I feel like it's not running me, I am running it. I'm just aware that it's always there. Okay. So my 5 tips to combat Jurassicophobia, which is a fear of aging that leads to things like depression, anxiety, body dysmorphia. All right. So number 1, first of all, and again, this is for everybody, don't get overwhelmed. If you have an all or nothing attitude about yourself, I am all good or I'm all bad. I'm really great at this thing or I really stink at this thing. I'm totally old and I'm like an old hag, or I'm like young and beautiful and gorgeous. If you do that to yourself in any area of life, it's defeatism for sure. Okay. So what I would suggest is this: measure what bothers you about your personal aging process. Forget everybody else. Just look at you. What bothers you? Is it the metabolism issue? Is it wrinkles? Is it gray hair? Is it sagging skin? Is it whatever? Okay, the hormonal fluctuations. What is it that bothers you? And then I would recommend that you take whatever bothers you the most and you focus up on those key things and try to pay less attention to everything else. If you feel overwhelmed, it's going to make it worse. Try not to think of yourself as having all these problems all at once. Okay. So, what I will do personally is I will ask, what is it that's really bothered me about aging? What is it that I know is going to continue to upset me? And what can I do about it? Could I go get plastic surgery on that? Do I want to spend money on creams? Could I exercise more? Could I go get a bottle of hair coloring? Could I, what could I do to work with it? And then focus on that. And as you see improvements in that area, and as you tune out the rest of that list that you have, it will help you to feel more empowered, and you will be definitely, looking and embracing it more in a more positive manner. Number 2, mindfulness and self-discipline. So I would say this. I noticed at some point that for as much time as I was allowing myself to spend in an out of control manner, thinking negatively about aging, I wasn't really combating that with positive thinking. I wasn't actively scheduling in time to focus on the positives in my life in regards to my aging or my spirituality. I was just going along for the ride. And it's really important that you be mindful and use self discipline. So, what you should be really doing is taking the amount of time that you spent, let's say daily, on aging, whether it's putting on creams or, it's trying to fix something or, it's trying to repair what you're afraid of. It is important to, I say, double the amount of time on what's positive about your aging process. Really dive in, do research, read up, and celebrate what is working, but don't just allow yourself to focus on the negative aspects. Number 3, stop obsessing. And this is really all of us at all ages. I notice that this is getting more and more out of control as time goes on. So, obsessing is never going to help. It is a sign that you have completely abandoned your power. And learning to control your mind is a master skill at any age. A lot of older people pass away without ever mastering this skill, and their life will show the results and the wreckage from that. This is something we should be taught as children to start to master, but we aren't. And this is a great opportunity if you struggle with aging to get an upper hand on this, because it will certainly provide enough opportunity for it, in your daily thoughts. So we want to make sure that we are asking for help when we feel that our thoughts are out of control. You want to be comfortable in the discomfort, still and silence yourself. Ask your joy guide who watches over your mental and emotional well-being and your spiritual development, and ask your protector guide who is there to help you through any difficult situation in life. Ask them to come in and help you to get control over your negative thoughts. And I would also say you need to examine what exactly was the trigger. What did you walk by a mirror and you were triggered? Did you see an ad and you were triggered? Do you have a friend who talks about aging chronically? Did that upset you? What happened? Examine what part of your life it is that is upsetting you in regards to aging, and study up on it, research it. I fall down rabbit holes all the time where I will search for all information on a certain topic, on aging. And then I feel more empowered. I start to feel better because I'm educated. I'm not just getting triggered and not knowing why. Okay, so pay attention to what it is that's setting you off. And this is a way to use alchemy and replace that negativity with positivity. It is now not taking advantage of you, but you are using it for power going forward, not only to heal yourself, but also to heal others. And we need more women, elders, out there. So number 4, limit your viewing limit your viewing. Be more mindful. If for the next week you assess throughout the day how many times an ad crosses your social media, or you receive an email about aging, or a video pops up, memes that pop up, how much of your day is spent being alerted to these anti-aging ads and this toxic rhetoric? How much? I think you would be shocked if you really stop and look at it. And you have to realize that these are specified for you, okay, through your social media and your phone and everything. Everything in the algorithm is designed to trap you there and to keep you there and to put it in front of you. So get control. Turn off the phone. Don't look at that on social media. If you see or hear something, start catching it right away. Okay. And then stop. I'm not addressing that. I am not looking at that. I would also say on this note, it's important not to talk about it all the time. Now, talking is great. Talking can be healing and help you release. It can also help if you're the kind of person who figures cognitively, things out through speech. When you speak, sometimes we piece things together, and that's a wonderful thing. But if you talk about it too much, you could just be spinning your wheels. It may be a great time to get a therapist and to make sure that when you speak about it, it is productively and to the right people, and it's not feeding the problem itself. Okay. And number 5, last but not least, one of the things that has helped me in more recent years with aging, and I'm 42 now, is to take a look at my money, to take a look at my business is that I've built, to take a look at my accomplishments, to take a look at anything that I am finally succeeding in, or I'm seeing great payout with. After all of these years of struggle and toil and, this effort where it seemed like things were either not moving fast enough, or were sometimes even going backward. Finally, at 42, I get it. Okay. I could see why everything had to happen the way that it happened, and the benefits are there. It feels good. Okay. We can focus and complain about aging as much as we want, but I think if we're really honest, it feels pretty good to know yourself as well as you do, to know your power, your strength, your skills, to also feel like even though your education is behind you, you got these degrees and these trainings and things, like you understand it more now than you even did then, because life experience is helping you to piece things together and to know that I'm a valuable player in all of this, to be able, with all these here's a great example, all these young light workers coming out because they think this is entertainment, or they had a bit of a spiritual awakening, and now they're doing it. Well, as an elder in this, where my discernment is so in check and I have something of benefit to teach people, I feel good about that. And that is something to celebrate. So it's important for all of us, wherever we are, to become a mentor. You're 25, you can mentor over the teenagers. If you're in your 30s, you're looking over at the 20-year-olds. You're in your 40s, you start to really be in a position to look out over everybody, even people older than you. I think that's the blessing of hitting that 40 mark. And I think that if we don't find ways to really integrate everything we've learned into the system of giving it out, then we're wasting it. Too many people are so debilitated by their aging process that they forget all the good stuff that's there, and they don't necessarily connect with people who need their wisdom. They don't even see that they have wisdom. And we have younger generations that are starving for it. And we are the key to breaking the chains and ending this vicious cycle of hatred against women and against really humans in general. It's going to come down to us. So join the fight, get on board, start sharing what you know and what you have. And it's automatically, instantaneously going to make you feel a whole lot better about where you are. All right, guys, I am going to take your questions and comments. My beautiful producer, Andrea, if you could start putting those up Oh, it's working. Look at us. Okay. Thank you so much. So question number 1 is from Chicken Mama. She says, aging. Ugh. Yes, I feel you. She said, I still feel and act like a kid most of the time, except the bi-weekly ritual of the dyeing of the hair in trade. As I've grown older, my intuition has gone skyrocketing through the roof. There you go. And isn't that a great payoff, Chicken Mama? I love how you say that. It's like, okay, I have gray hair, but like my intuition is phenomenal. Quite frankly, I mean, wouldn't you trade those? You know, if it was put in front of you on a table and you had to pick, would you not take your intuition, over a few gray hairs? I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't, but I love that. Okay, next comment or question. Okay. This is from Christine McCohen. All right, Christine McCohen, just sending much support and appreciation for your message on this topic of aging and saging with spirituality. Kind regards from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Oh, beautiful to have you, Christine. Thank you so much. Yes. And we'll keep this dialogue up from here forward. I see more coming with this. Thank you. And our next one is from Danielle Johnson, our numerologist. So Reverend Danny says, it is terrible because as elders, women carry and hold all of the secrets and keys to making meaning of this life. Beautifully said. I couldn't have said it any better. That's it. We really do. We hold the keys to all of the secrets of the universe and the healing in the universe and all the love and tenderness and care. Yep. And it's being disregarded. Thank you, Danny. What is our next question or comment if we have one? So we have another one from Danny. It says that her mom always said when she turned 50, it because like it okay, so it was like fuck it 50 and started saying what she wanted. She'll pass that on to you, Ivy. She adores you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So that's exciting, right? And a lot of people say that, and I love that. I'm hearing it more now, even in the 30s, that people are like, fuck it 50 is happening younger and younger. And that's awesome. You really, I guess, reach a point where you don't care anymore about what people think. You are going to live on your own terms and for you and in your power and to celebrate it. And I think this is really something that we shouldn't be waiting for, until we're 50 years old. But yes, once the aging process has set in and the looks and things start to go and we see that we're thrown away in the garbage, we do start to, gather up that feist. And that's definitely an interesting aspect of it. Thank you, Danny. And what is our next question or comment? Okay, so Mary Sykes says, I would not want to be in my 20s again. My two oldest are 22 and 20, and I see where they are and think, wow, I used to be so young. Capital Young. Yeah, and I think that if we more honestly look at people in their 20s instead of romanticizing them and what we were, or that like our golden days are behind us, I think if you observe them, it's almost shocking that they were ever even thought of as adults, or that you ever thought of yourself as an adult. At 42, I look at people in their 20s and I think they're babies, they're kids. Oh my God, I was just a kid. Like, how did I do anything? So there really is so much. There are great things for sure. But yes, that is very, very young to really be navigating life in a successful way. All right. And so we have another one here from Me Love 716. I love hearing about how the natives view their elders and feel that is what's missing. We're doing this all wrong. 100%. And as a Taino Arawak, I understand that the colonialism and the genocide led to so many of our elders being lost, and we feel that generations later we are still searching for them, and reaching out to our ancestors spiritually all the time just to rebuild from our losses. And everything comes through our elders, and that really is, I noticed that too, me love 716, that if we were to take anything away from today, if we just look at that one piece of how natives and indigenous cultures respect their elders and understand the value that they bring, that would really put everything into check. All right. Thank you for that. We have another one from Akara. It really hit me when I started the process to have a baby on my own. And the fertility doctor told me I was considered geriatric at 35. Oh, yes, for sure. So that's a huge wake up call. And I recently saw some new research coming out that says that's a myth, that we've actually been told that our fertility years are far earlier than what they really are, and that the dangers of having a geriatric pregnancy are not really as founded as we thought they were. So it's about time women are getting more studies spent on them, especially in this area, reproductive systems, because we rush. We rush and we feel that panic, and in regards to becoming a parent, that can trigger Draskophobia and certainly the toxic ideas around aging. And I think many of us moms understand that. Kara, thank you for sharing that. Really great point. Right. Or even a lot of millennials, I think, are feeling it, right? Because what is it, is like geriatric millennials? And then it's like, well, wait a minute. I was 79 and they're like 80 and 81. It's like, why are we even using words like this? Why do we even have to go there? It's like we deliberately go there just to stir the pot and just to poke at that wound, as often as we can. Capitalism. Okay. Money, 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 money. How can we make more money by making people more paranoid about the aging process? You know what? Let's have it blow up in their face. Let's reverse this. Let's turn the table on them, T Loyalty says, why is it that some people don't look their age? I'm 27, but people always say I don't look my age, that I look younger. Well, good for you. There are certain age points. You haven't hit it yet. Where you deteriorate really quickly. So at 32, I believe it is, you're going to get hit with your first real dose of aging. So that could be a reason. It's also that basically self-care can stave it off more. There is a lot having to do with race. So some research showed that Latinos will actually age really well, compared to everybody else, not just physically, but physiologically. It's like we have the organs and, basically everything is just built for high endurance and longevity. Whereas other, groups of people will age faster physically. And we'll see that also, in regards to the actual health. And then we have like all these sayings, like people say, well, black don't crack. Well, why is it that black don't crack? Why is that? Well, because, for example, they don't have, so T Loyalty, I don't know what, your race is, but for example, black people don't have muscles in their face, like their forehead, or even here, like down through their cheeks. If you look at the anatomy, they don't have as many muscles in broken lines as a white person. So if you put like a black girl at 30 or even 50, let's say, on one side, and you put a white girl at 50, because white people have, like in their foreheads, so many broken muscles, and all through here, the white lady will look far, far more advanced in aging than the black lady. So there are a million different reasons. I mean, you have to sort of research, what is your race? What is the history? And we just find that people also, I think, age at different rates when they hit those key aging points that everybody hits. Yeah, so I hope that continues for you. That is quite an honor. It's always nice to have if you can. Danielle Johnson says, so between 30 to 35 years old, you received a double dose of number 7. Okay. One of the most spiritual numbers in numerology. Wow. The universe gave our mediumship teacher a double dose of spirituality. Oh, so I did. Okay. Thank you. So Danny Johnson, our numerologist, says between 30 and 35, I got a double dose of 7, which is spirituality. That makes sense because that's when I left journalism to build the academy and my reading business and the church and the ministry. That was at 31. So between 30 and 35, that's exactly what I did. I built this thing. Amazing, Danny. I did not know that. That's wild. Thank you for that confirmation. We have another one coming in from a Laura Martin. I'll be 34 on the 17th and definitely feel that that's true. Yes. And 34, still as young as that is, it is great to start working with these tools and skills now so that you can get ahead of the game. I wish I had been given them at a younger age, or I wouldn't feel like I'm in the predicament that I'm in. Okay, so I do believe that is the last question or comment. Thank you, Andrea, for that. Again, if you guys haven't already done so, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe or follow. Continue to post your questions, your comments. We'll be getting to them as time goes on in the feed afterward. And I will see you guys next time. This is going to be, I want to say, Wednesday, the 16th at 8 p.m. for my Ask Ivy show, where I take your personal questions and I deliver messages out to you from Spirit. I'm making some changes to Ask Ivy. It used to be on TikTok at 8 p.m., on YouTube at 8:30. We are now doing the Ask Ivies just at 8 p.m. and combining all of you together. Okay, so that's starting next Wednesday, the 16th. I will see you. That is Eastern time. Thanks everybody for tuning in and for commenting. Thank you, Spirit. Have a great night.